growth, individual development, and those are keys that they want to have, not just tonight and this weekend, but throughout the year.
Vikings on the serve to get us underway here in Chapel Hill alongside Corey Carlin. Kyle Straub with you. Hope you are enjoying your Friday night. Staying a little bit drier than we are here in Chapel Hill. We're actually about an hour delayed because the first matchup earlier today was a rain delay. A roof leak sprung, and they had to push things back a little bit.
A rare occurrence for indoor volleyball, but we literally weathered the storm pretty well, and now it's time to get some action under the lights. First swing and kill from 77.
Here's Mabry Schaffmaster. We talk about her offense, but untalked about a lot, unspoken, is that big jump serve and what a weapon it can be.
Yeah, leading the team in aces last year, you can see that it is a weapon from the service line, and if you've got a player that can score from the front court and the back court, boy, that's a lot to handle for an opposing defense.
Here's Liberty Torres getting the Vikings on the board and even things up at 1 apiece.
You know, Kyle, the first 5 or 10 points of the first match, there's always some jitters, there's a little butterflies, you know. People want to see if we're going to really click and get off on the right foot, so I think both teams are still kind of feeling that out a little bit.
It looked like it was borderline on the edge, kept in by Imani Foster, and it's going to turn into a Vikings point.
Boy, and 2 of the first 3 points here for the Tar Heels are a microcosm of what Coach Shaw talked to us about, Kyle. They need to do better in capitalizing on opportunities. They did that. They got a free ball, I think, on the first rally and converted with a kill right away. But he also said we want to be a good passing team. And so as this match goes on, as something to track, are the Tar Heels settling in for their serve receive?
Carson Overbeck, the junior, with the swing from the back line, sends that one wide. The Vikings with an early 3-1 lead.
And that's a fine line right there, Kyle. When you think about service pressure, you understand that you want to serve tough. You're going to have a few errors mixed in there. That's kind of baked into it. But you also don't want to end a run, especially when you got a team that's at home. You got to maybe a little bit thinking in serve receive and trying to settle down. You want to manage your errors right here. I think that's a key thing for Cleveland State. And there's another one.
Pass just a little bit behind the sophomore. That's Alana Appleby. Maddie May, the junior out of Winterville, serving for the Tar Heels. Tipped at the net. Jump ball kept alive, and I think they're going to call 4 touches on Carolina. Never got over the net. Cleveland State takes the lead back.
Yeah, and Mabry Schaffmaster wants that set back, kind of a trap set out of system. You want to be a little cleaner in those opportunities.
Hasevich with the serve. Back set from the Tar Heels, and they'll tool that one off the blockers to tie it up at 4.
And that shows you what can happen when you're passing well. You don't have to pass phenomenal or great, but this pass was right on the money. You give Barrett all kinds of options, and that's when your offense is at your best.
That's Chelsea Thorpe, one of those transfers, though she just a redshirt sophomore from Ohio State. First block of the match goes to the Tar Heels, gives them the lead.
Boy, and you think about net presence, how important that is, especially for top-level volleyball programs. You have to be able to block, deny, have good hand presence. You saw the first taste of a solid block.
A season ago, Carolina averaged just over 2 blocks per set. Cleveland State very quickly has an answer.
And that's something we're going to see a lot tonight because they're so well coached, Kyle. You think about Cleveland State, the run that they've had for the time that Coach Voss has been in the head chair. They're competitive. They want to compete every play. He talked to us about that on the call. You know, this is a team that's been to the NCAA tournament multiple times in the last 6-10 years. So they're not afraid to really show out on a big stage.
Set for Foster off the mark. Carolina scrambling to get it over, and 1 too many touches. The offense for Carolina just doesn't seem to be in sync here, the early goings of the first set.
Yeah, and that was my thought exactly. There just seems to be a little bit of hesitation, a little bit of miscommunication right now on the Tar Heel side.
Doesn't fall with the serve, and that one will go long. Second service error against the Vikings. We are tied back up at 6s.
And if I'm Cleveland State, I might kind of dial those service pressure back a little bit, because twice now you've had some momentum and you've handed it right back with a service error.
Here's Julie Bollinger, the freshman out of Windsor, Colorado, in to serve, and it was a good one. Gets the Vikings a little bit out of system. Schaffmaster, so good at twisting that body.
Oh my gosh, she is a shot maker. Just when you think you're reading her shoulder, you're watching that approach angle, you're trying to get in front as a blocker, she's got a great cross-body line shot. Right there you see it, and if you're not disciplined, she's gonna eat you up.
1,161 kills now in her career at Carolina. That is 13th best all time. Bump set near side. Carolina looking to get back-to-back points for just the second time tonight. Free ball for the Vikings. First rally we've seen between these two.
This is going to be a good indicator, Kyle. Who will win the long rallies usually indicates who's got the upper hand in the match.
Great dig and kept alive. Some really good defense from both teams right here. Who can take advantage of it? Near side, over the blockers, and a good read from the libero. That's another big dig from Isert. Schaffmaster. Isert. And that one was going to be your Dunja.
Oh my gosh. If you're a fan of great defense, you absolutely loved that point. That rally, you look at the touch right there by Isert just to keep that ball alive. And that was one thing you could point to in that rally that probably helped them win the point. If you're playing aggressive defense like that for the entirety of a long rally, you're going to make the other team think a little bit more. Maybe you're getting a few more errors like that because you get a little bit impatient, Kyle. You think, man, I don't want to go through another marathon rally. I want a quick fix. I'm going to try to put the ball down, and sometimes that results in unforced errors.
Schaffmaster and Engelbrecht, the grad transfer from Iowa State, involved there. So far, all 4 transfers that we talked about in the Open have been involved for North Carolina and have resulted in points.
And that's great to see for the Tar Heel sideline, because all preseason you kind of had a feeling how they might impact the game, and now you're seeing it live in person. Oh, net call.
Engelbrecht, you could see it on her face when she came down. She was hoping she was going to get away with it.
And we had the my bad, guys. Got you next time. Yeah, the eyes get so big in that moment.
So ends the biggest run of the game so far for the Tar Heels. Walker keeps it alive, bump set near side. List unable to get the kill. Double block in front of Schaffmaster. Something that I'm already noticing, Corey, that Carolina hasn't had the last couple of years is the ability to go from one side to the other. They're not getting pinned to whatever side Schaffmaster happened to be on.
And that's a key element if they want to have success, especially deep into the season. You're talking about NCAA tournament. There's a long road between now and then, but you want to plant some seeds and say, can we have some more balance than maybe we've had last year? So far, we're seeing it. You're right.
Engelbrecht on the serve. She's a transfer from Iowa State, but really a hometown girl, though, from Durham, North Carolina. Another point for the Tar Heels, starting to get a little bit of separation here from the Vikings as Cleveland State sees the errors starting to pile up.
That's one area that you don't see that often from a Cleveland State team. Just too many unforced errors in the moment. Got off the hook there to maybe get another mini run, but you know, the competitive aspect of this team has always been their strength. It's been their identity. We've seen it a little bit here early, but we've also seen some unforced errors that are a little more uncharacteristic of a Cleveland State team.
Nia Hall, the sophomore outside hitter out of Lorain, Ohio, the one who served. Gets a dig just by being in a good position.
Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good.
Free ball for the Tar Heels. Go back to the top of the screen. Schaffmaster with a big swing. She'll pick up her third kill.
Yeah, that was a great tempo set to the left side. It really froze the middle blocker for Cleveland State and created that seam for Schaffmaster. You look at that little hesitation right there from Josepha, the middle for Cleveland State. And that was enough seam for Schaffmaster to get a clean kill. And she doesn't need much room, Kyle. She can get it through some pretty tight spots.
Barrett on the serve.
Good service pressure from the Tar Heels the last 2 or 3 times they've served the ball.
Heads up play from the setter there for Cleveland State. Just didn't hit it correctly. Otherwise, could have caught off Carolina off guard there.
That's the right thought, just not the right execution. Front row setter, she's an attacker you've got to account for if you're blocking for the Tar Heels.
Set just a little bit off there for Josepho. Another opportunity. List. Jump ball, and that one is last touched by Cleveland State.
Yep. That one could have probably went either way. I'd be curious if we see the replay. That's kind of a 50-50 ball, Kyle, but the official was right there, was right in front of him, so he made the call.
Josepho the one on the side for Cleveland State. And Carolina with a 6-point lead as we step aside.
More than winning the game, it's changing it. Greatness is what we do. Accomplish greatness.
Ramsey's in the house as Carolina has themselves a 6-point lead here in the first set of the first match of the 2024 season. Pretty good crowd here on hand, braving the storms outside, staying as dry as possible inside. And in a match, Corey, that at one point this was tied 6-6. Carolina has seemed to take control at least a little bit here in the middle of the set.
Yeah, and it's been really 2 parts to that recipe. One, they've stayed assertive. They played great defense. Their net presence has been spot on right there, right on cue. They have really presented a solid block on most of the attacks that Cleveland State has thrown at them. And the other part of it, Kyle, has been Cleveland State offering a few unforced errors here and there that have just really propelled this run.
Jackie Taylor and Chelsea Thorpe involved in the second block of the match for the Tar Heels. Making a third block this time, it is Schaffmaster and Taylor.
Cleveland State's got to be careful here because you want to have some momentum, a little bit of confidence going into set 2. And this is starting to get away from them a little bit here.
And Taylor, somebody that is new to Carolina, not one of those transfers, but a true freshman out there getting some minutes.
And she's looked impressive so far. You just look at the athleticism. Of course, think about the athleticism runs in her family with her father, Sean Taylor from the Washington Commanders. The tragedy that hit their family so many years ago, but such an athletic family, and you're seeing those skills on display here. Just an inspirational story to see where she is now today and how she's impacting college volleyball.
Yeah, and some conference ties as her father, Sean Taylor, played at Miami in his collegiate days.
I've forgotten about that, right? Yeah, ACC through and through.
Tar Heels with their biggest lead here of this first set.
If you're Cleveland State, you just want to focus on each contact. You're not going to get all these points back in one swing, but let's chip away. Let's start playing good volleyball, getting a rhythm. That's our focus right now. Pretty good pass to start, a little bit tight.
A little bit of an overpass and a heads-up play. Got to credit Taylor there, the freshman. Won the battle.
Again, the net presence so far early has been so impressive by the Tar Heels. They're reading and anticipating the ball so well defensively at the net.
Going to be tough for Cleveland State to handle this jump serve. Did a good job last time. Another overpass. Taylor doesn't win the battle this time. And the Vikings with an opportunity. Near side swing for Torres. She had a couple early points, but has been quiet since.
Opportunity for the Vikings.
Tried to run a slide a little bit off on the timing, and Taylor with a big swing in the middle.
And I'm going to jump in on that one here, Kyle. As a former coach, if you're trying to establish some swag, you're trying to get some momentum back on your side, it's a real risk and roll the dice to tip balls in that situation. I'd rather go for a full swing. Our coverage needs to get better because the block is presenting very well for the Tar Heels. But let's stay aggressive right now because we're down by 10 points. We're on the road. You know, playing conservative is probably not the mentality that you want to get into.
The home court roll there for Schaffmaster off the serve. Caught the take, turns into an ace. And Cleveland State going to call a timeout. Coach Voss got to try and figure out something here. And down so much in this first set, Corey, I've got to imagine that you're looking to get some momentum going into the second set. Not necessarily say, hey, how do we come back and win this first one?
It's all about the small runs, and that's what this game is built on. This has been a very large run for Carolina, but for Cleveland State to get back and put their best foot forward, it's about the next 2 to 3 points. Let's just focus on that small window. Right now, we've got a front row setter. Our attacking options are a little bit limited, but we've got experience, right? We've got our graduate transfer setter in Ella Mahasevic. She's running the show right now. You know, what's the best play call that we can run out of serve receive to get a quality swing? That's what we should be talking about right now in the huddle. You know, talking to your setter, what do you think you've got the most confidence in right now? Talking to your hitters, what route do you want to run? Based on what you've seen the defense present so far in the match, where do you think we can score? And let's go after it. Stay aggressive. And then you're reminding your backcourt, Kyle, hey, they've got 3 or 4 blocks right now, and probably 2 or maybe 3 of them, we probably could have done a better job covering our hitter. So if we're going to stay aggressive, we've got to back that up with good coverage from our backcourt as well.
Out of the timeout, Carolina with that big lead, and a big reason is Mabry Schaffmaster. No errors, 3 kills. She's got a couple of digs, involved in a block, and oh, by the way, a nice run here at the service line as well.
Yep. I'd love to see Jehoshaphat go something in the middle. Oh, doesn't matter. I was just going to say, Kyle, you've got Torres on the outside. How can we get her a little bit of a seam? Let's run the middle inside, try to get the middle blocker for the Tar Heels to bite and maybe get that little seam with a tempo set. Maybe that's something we'll see down the road as well.
Going to get a sub for the server. Leslie Marshall, the junior out of LaPorte, Indiana, coming in.
She's no stranger to playing a significant role. She played in 96 sets last year. Almost every match she had was a factor.
Foster with the swing, and they're going to get the point. I think a net violation called against Cleveland State. I think it would have been a point anyway with the way that came off the pass, the blocker in the back.
You're right. That ball is probably going to be down either way. This is something where Cleveland State wants to be assertive, but you have to stay fundamentally clean. You can't draw your hands too close to the net. You got to watch your feet out of bounds if you're chasing a ball that sideline. But I love that swing right there by Appleby. That's what this team needs. Let's just get 1 point at a time, quality swing after quality swing, and then we get some momentum.
The sophomore out of Shaker Heights, Ohio with the kill, and we haven't seen Cleveland State attack the middle of the court. It's been at the pins up until that.
Exactly right, and maybe that was something in the scouting report that they looked at some film from last year, maybe did some recon on some of the players' tendencies they thought they would see. But to your point, Kyle, there's so many new faces on the Tar Heel sideline that are, on the court. It's really tough to forecast what you're going to see until you actually get in the live action.
And I was just going to ask you, I know your coaching experience was before the current model that we have with the transfer portal and so much ease in changing, but as a coach, how difficult is that to scout a team when you have no idea outside of Mabry Schaffmaster what you're going to see because they're all new faces?
Right. It was what we called the 90-10, and the 10% was we knew statistically who was returning, who was their horse. We got to kind of keep an eye on this kid or two, but the 90% was our side of the net. The first match, you're trying to establish something, your own identity, how you want to play, and so your focus is more on your side of the net in this opening weekend.
Nice dig for Walker to keep that one alive for the Vikings.
Much better coverage.
Back set to the near side, kept alive though.
Just a little hesitation there by the Viking defense. I couldn't really tell if Marshall thought that Walker might have saw that and made a move, or there was just a little bit of hesitation there, but so far, you're right. It's pin-to-pin offense for the Tar Heels, and Cleveland State hasn't had much of an answer for either pin hitter.
Top of the screen, big swing for Torres. Did it stay in? It did, and they'll get the point and the serve.
Boy, she and the Vikings needed that. Just let's stay assertive. Let's get that quality swing. If you stay assertive, it usually bears fruit in this sport.
Torres, the only player for Cleveland State with more than one kill and the only one with a positive hitting percentage here in this first set.
And she just rotated out. So I'm sure she's going to get a ton of volume when she gets back into the front court. But right now it's about weathering this storm, trying to get a few more points here before the set closes out on you.
There's somebody back for Coach Shaw in her second season with the Tar Heels after transferring in from Charlotte last year. Amani Foster with her second kill.
And she's someone last year that had a big role, that was leaned on at times and came through.
270 kills, was second on the team behind Schaffmaster.
Yep.
First set point for the Tar Heels. And of course the freshman. Thing about that first set, that turning point from it being back and forth to Carolina running away, was that really long rally point that we had that the Tar Heels were the winners of.
100%.
And it gave them some momentum, got this crowd into the match.
Now when you've been around this game long enough, you see long rallies like that, and it is a little bit of a predictor. I think if you win that long rally, sometimes it's worth 2 or 3 momentum points, if you will, and we saw that in set 1.
First point of the second set goes to Cleveland State. Yosefo, the freshman out of Brunswick, Ohio, back to serve. Schaffmaster gave a good pass and got rewarded with a good set.
Put yourself in the middle blocker shoes of Cleveland State, Appleby. It's pretty much a perfect pass. Look at that tempo. Very difficult to get outside and close the block. And with all the shots that Mabry Schaffmaster has in her tool bag, you've got to be ready to defend all 900 square feet of the court.
Overpass off the serve from Schaffmaster. Free ball for the Tar Heels. Top of the screen, and that one is just a little bit long.
Well, when everything's going right, you know, you just want to swing big for the fences. I'm sure that Chelsea Thorpe would like to have that one back, but she'll get another opportunity here shortly, no doubt.
Her first attack error of the match after having 3 kills in the first set for the Tar Heels. A block for Cleveland State. Something that they were really good at last year, almost 2.5 blocks per set as a team. That's their third of the match.
And it was tied to great serving. If you're a great serving team, that usually helps the block. It gets the opponent in out-of-system situations, which is what we saw there. So, you know, followed up by an error, and that's kind of that dichotomy you have to live with. If you want to be an aggressive serving team, you have to live with some errors. So far, I think Cleveland State just needs a little bit more aggressive serving in and just maybe dial back a little bit more in the errors to give themselves a better chance.
Yeah, with the Paris Olympics just getting over between beach volleyball and then indoor men's and women's volleyball, something that I noticed in watching them as Cleveland State gets the point and a 2-point lead here was that even at the highest level of the sport, it still came down to serving and passing. If you can serve and get a team out of system, or if you can pass well off the serve and stay in system, that's what seemed to come down to which team won and didn't a lot.
You're spot on, and that's always been the bread and butter of success in this sport, whether you're going back to side-out scoring, rally scoring, you know, high level, even junior high volleyball, or, you know, you're looking at youth volleyball at the lower levels. If you can serve well and if you can attack well, you're probably going to have success. That transcends age and level across all the sport of volleyball. And when you're seeing ebbs and flows of the game, it's usually the team that's serving better and attacking better that's going to have the upper hand.
Carolina gets the side out, back on the serve. Back to a middle attack, and it works for Appleby. She picks up her second kill.
And you're seeing just a little bit of momentum shift here, and it's been backed by aggressive serving and great passing. I think Cleveland State has stepped up their serve-receive game here early in set 2, they've been passing on the money and having all attack options available.
And it's early in this set, but after 8 attack errors in the first set, they've played clean volleyball here in the second. Hit a block there, though. Tar Heels with their 4th of the match. It's the first one here of this second set.
Just a roof and a rocket to the floor. You look at the footwork, the anticipation, getting the hands over in the seam, reaching back in. Adumja, the transfer from Miami, just great blocking technique there.
Deep serve.
I've been so impressed with Bollinger's serving tonight. Kyle, she doesn't have a ton of aces so far, but she's got Cleveland State out of system on almost every serve.
That's one of those stats that are hard to find when you're trying to look at a sheet from after a match or even on a season of how good of a server are you. It's not always just the aces, it's how consistently can you put the other team in a tough spot, right?
100%, and that's something that almost every staff in the country is tracking on their bench. What is the passing efficiency of the opponent off of your serve? You might not ace them, but are you getting them out of system consistently?
That one's going to get replayed. It went up and hit the scoreboard. I don't think the officials caught it at first.
Oh,
correction,
wow.
not a replay. It goes to a point for Carolina because it was off of Cleveland State before it went up and hit the scoreboard.
Correct, and it's a little bit of a judgment at this point if that ball was going to break the plane or go on the Tar Heels side, but they were the first to contact it, kind of a ball in the neutral zone. After hitting the scoreboard, that ball is considered out.
Freshman with another good serve. Carolina going to have a free ball. Set for Schaffmaster, and she'll get the kill. Even though the blocker is there, she hits it so hard. I mean, that ball bounced 30 feet off the blocker.
If you're not timing your block jump against Schaffmaster well, and you don't have great technique, she's going to use an abuser.
4 straight for the Tar Heels. They're back out in front here in the second set. Better pass this time for the Vikings, but May comes up with another dig. She's got 11 in the match to lead everybody. And a whistle, net violation.
Boy, that's like the 3rd blocking error by Cleveland State. And when you're trying to make a statement, you're trying to, really put the ball down. Sometimes you overreach a little bit. You can get into the tape. Cleveland State needs to be careful here as the Tar Heels are going back on another run.
In a good position again, Schaffmaster. A dig on the other side. That was from Walker.
Both liberos showing why they're wearing that different colored jersey. And how impressive has May been? Even last year, you saw her really take a step forward as a dominant defender in the league. And there's plays like that that not many women can make at this level where you're just taking it point blank and not only getting it up, but controlling it where we can run transition offense.
May now in her junior season for the Tar Heels. Carolina attacks the middle. That set was for Engelbrecht. Couldn't get the kill. Second opportunity, they go to a pin. And that one is going to be long. Adumja with the attack error.
This sport is about adjustments, Kyle, and we're now at the point of the match where I think you've seen a good sample size of what the other team's going to present. So now, about halfway through the second set of the first match is when you start to analyze, what are we seeing? What are the tendencies? Where are the holes in the defense? What can we exploit? What do we need to do better on our side? And it's a game of adjustments from here on. So it's going to be interesting to see, do we see a substitution? Do we see a different style of offense in certain rotations? What do teams do to kind of play that cat and mouse game here the rest of the match? For Cleveland State, I would love to see them set a little faster tempo to the pin, see if they can get a little more seam in the block from the Tar Heels, because so far Carolina's net presence has not given them much to swing at.
Kept alive by Walker. Opportunity to tie it up for Cleveland State. That one was going to be, I think, a point for Cleveland State. I don't think they needed to go after that. Jackie Taylor just kind of got a little fingertip on it.
Boy, that was a touch. Yeah, you had to go for it. Torres right off that left hand. You're seeing a lot of versatility offensively from the Tar Heels, where you're bringing players behind the setter, in front of the setter, out of the middle. You're running quick attacks, quick tempo to the pins. And what you said earlier, Kyle, is just that balance. We're seeing a lot more balance from the Tar Heels so far.
Thorpe and Taylor there, kept alive though. Another opportunity for the Vikings, and that one into the net. Point to the Tar Heels. So after the beginning of this set, saw North Carolina with 4 attack errors early and none from Cleveland State. Things have evened out now. That was the second attack error against the Vikings.
I wouldn't be surprised if we see a timeout after this point if Cleveland State does not win it.
Also from the Tar Heels keeps it alive. Great job from May. Barrett, little hesitation, still got to it. Jump ball. Schaffmaster up against 2 Vikings, wins it. Swing for Mabry.
Wow.
And a kill.
And you think about aggressive defense for the entirety of the rally. It's not just about the first swing defense, but if it takes us 3, 4, 5 effort, look at May just selling out for that ball. That's the kind of effort you need for the entirety of the rally to keep the pressure on your opponent. And about halfway through that rally there, the ball that was off the side where Thorpe kind of free-balled it back, I wonder if that ball stayed inside the antenna. And just for a momentum thing right here, I was kind of wondering if maybe Coach Voss might have challenged that to maybe save a timeout, because right now the momentum's purely on the Tar Heel sideline.
That'll be their second ace of the match. Biggest lead of the set, and it will now force Coach Voss to take a timeout. Heels find themselves up by 1 set, and along with Corey Carlin, I'm Kyle Straub. Appreciate you joining us here for the opening game of this season for the Tar Heels and Cleveland State. As you look at the outlook for North Carolina here in this 2024 season, when you're picked to finish 10th out of 18 teams, I kind of feel like that's got to give you a little bit of a chip on the shoulder, knowing that people are doubting you and you can go in kind of free and easy into a season.
It's kind of that weird, awkward spot where you're in the middle of the pack. You know, first you have to acknowledge that 18-team league is pretty huge, so there's not a ton of room to hide. But, you know, being right in the middle is kind of, okay, show us what you can do. You know, you've earned to not be in kind of that bottom third, but we got to see more for you to move up.
Walker able to use the body to get a dig and keep that one alive. And then Torres gets the kill for Cleveland State. They really needed that point out of the timeout.
They desperately needed that point. This is a key moment in the match where you don't want to have all the momentum go on the Tar Heels side. You don't want to be down 0-2 with really kind of flat play. Cleveland State can muster themselves back into this if they get on a mini run right here.
By the way, if you're saying to yourself, did Corey just say an 18-team league? Yes, he did. The new teams that have been added into the conference this year, you have Stanford, Cal, and SMU all joining the ACC to go from 15 to 18 and make the conference that much stronger.
It's really going to be a bear. Looking at the schedule, if you're forecasting the next couple of months, I think they need to issue some headwear to these young ladies. Maybe some Advil, extra Advil in the trainer tent, because it's going to be a grind.
A little bit of a scramble mode and a whistle against Cleveland State will give the point to the Tar Heels.
Now the officials are saying that when that ball rolled up the net, that it hit part of the antenna or came in contact with the antenna, which would make it out. And Coach Voss is obviously going to challenge here, which is smart either way, because
sure, this set is getting away from you. It's an extra
100%.
timeout essentially, right?
100%. If we get a look at this play in question, or are they saying that
it didn't get over and that was the 4th hit?
Well, it looks like after that replay that the official saying the ball went off Torres into the antenna before it went down for right here. Does the ball go off her hand into the antenna? It does not.
There, the referee in the back corner with the flag. You can see her pointing and waving the flag. She read it as it hit that antenna from the back. Watching the top left corner here, you'll see the back official point right here and start waving the flag.
Yeah, and I just don't agree with that call from what we've seen. The angles that we've seen here, it looks pretty clear to me that the ball did not contact the antenna, but to the official's defense, sometimes when you're the line judge, you're behind a body and you don't have a clear vision, and all of a sudden the ball's kind of bouncing around and the net starts to shake, and you know, it's a tricky situation to have a clear vision of what actually happened.
After getting done at the replay monitor, the official going over and talking with the official scorers. It will stay with Carolina as the point.
It looks like a replay is.
Yep. Oh, a replay of the point.
Yep. The 2 thumbs up, that's the replay signal. And that is the right call there, Kyle. Based on everything we saw again, I thought it was a pretty clean indicator that we need to replay that point.
Schaffmaster to serve again for the Tar Heels.
Good pass.
A little bit out in front on the set for Torres. They're going to get called with a double hit.
Boy, and that's a tough spot. You've got the ace leader for Carolina coming at you with her hot jump serve that you've struggled with most of the time so far in the match. You get a good pass, you just can't quite capitalize. See if Torres gets the ball again here.
Go to Torres. She's got to make an adjustment, and she'll get the kill, as that was off the blockers at the net.
Boy, what a veteran swing in that moment. You're about 6-7 feet deep. That's not the time to try to drive the ball down. You want to be smart and go high hands. Great swing by Torres.
Senior picks up her 6th kill of the match. Appleby, the only other attacker with more than 1 kill, though, and I feel like the Vikings have to find another threat, somebody else to help out offensively. That will help as they get a big block.
And you think about chipping away, getting some momentum, and it's got to start with defense, because that's something you can control. You're not in full control of your offense because the other team's serving and the other team's defending, but you are in complete control of how well you can present a block and the effort that you have on defense. And Cleveland State really needs to dial in on their defense these next couple of points.
I really like that call right there from Carolina. On the play before, they went to Foster at the pin, and both blockers were there. They set it up where it looked like that's what they were going to do, but that versatility, the freshman Taylor in the middle gets the kill.
And they're moving her around very well. You see her hitting in front of the setter. You see her running back runs behind the setter. Very difficult to read if you're opposing middle blocker right now.
Schaffmaster with the one-handed dig. She's got 4 in the match. Torres with another swing. Barron able to get a hand underneath it. 3rd time's the charm. It hit the pin.
Oh, wow.
Before that ball even hit May in the chest, she was calling for the judge in the chair.
Well, and Coach Voss is wondering if he should challenge. The players
I'll tell you what,
Cleveland State are kind of telling him, we think it did not hit, but
I thought from the naked eye from where we're sitting, which is almost directly behind that chair judge, that it caught that pin. And you see it wobble.
Yeah.
And that's what I had seen in real time, was the wobble.
Yeah, and when you have 2 or 3 officials signaling the same thing at the same time, they're usually right.
I've got to imagine that chair judge right there, great job from Barron again to come up to the X and get the dig. But to finish the point, I've got to imagine that he can hear that too, being so close to that pin.
Yeah, there's all kinds of stimulus that are coming in. You can see it, sometimes you can hear it, and he also has one of his hands on the top of the net where he can feel if there's a questionable vibration. That ball cleared the top of the net, so if there's any vibration, you know it hit the antenna.
Yeah. Foster picks up her 4th kill. That is 3rd on this Tar Heel team. Carolina with 6 different players that have 2 or more kills in this match. Led by Schaffmaster with 9. And how about the efficiency for Mabry in this one? 9 kills, 1 error on 16 swings.
Well, hitters with her shot selection and her variance are going to really benefit from having more offensive balance. If you've got teammates that can score in different spots and the distribution is more even, then when you get your opportunities, you're probably going to have more seams. You're going to have a defense that's not keying on you as tightly. So really well-designed offensive system so far here for the Tar Heels, not leaning 100% on Schaffmaster, and she is really reaping the benefits.
A 6-point lead here in the second set for the Tar Heels.
As there's a mini break here, Kyle, I do want to mention to viewers at home, if you're, you have to get a little workout in. If you're watching this match and you're wondering, why are the officials not calling doubles? Why are, there's some sloppy kind of play if you're a traditionalist. It's because they changed the rule this year that if you have kind of a questionable contact on your second contact that's going to a teammate, we're not going to call that a double contact anymore. In other words, if you're setting the ball to a teammate and it's kind of ugly out of your hands, we're going to let that play. And a couple of years ago, momentum really started ramping up for that kind of rule change because volleyball was the only sport that would reward an opponent points for the quality of how you touch the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And so, it remains to be seen how that plays out over the season. But if you're watching this match again and you're wondering, what the heck, why aren't the officials calling better on the double contacts? That's why.
But I think I am fully on board with that rule change because there's nothing that says that you have to set with two hands for it to be legal. You can bump set, you can one-hand set. It's just the timing of it, and it's so minuscule of did it hit exactly at the same time or not. And the other part of it, I think, is if you are able to miss-hit it and still play it, well, kudos to you then.
And that was the argument for the rule is, where's the advantage if I'm a setter and I want to set you the ball and I give you, quote unquote, kind of a crappy set, right? Like it's got spin on it, it doesn't have good tempo. There's no real advantage for me to do that. So if you're a traditionalist out there, don't panic. We're not going to, undertrain setters all of a sudden or quit setter training. We still want everyone to deliver a clean ball, but it does another thing too, Kyle, is that it doesn't it stops the game from being slowed down as much. You're going to have fewer whistle blows. You're going to have fewer stoppages of play, and that was attractive to a lot of folks as well.
4 points from a second set win, and it's the freshman back in, Bollinger, who has been tough at the service line. It's going to be a free ball for Carolina. Schaffmaster, dig on the back line. That one was kept alive by Delventhal. Not this one, though. In the right spot. Walker just couldn't get that one redirected.
At this point in the set, you want a finisher. You want someone that can put the ball away. Let's not dilly-dally here. Let's close the book. Let's go into set 3 with a lot of momentum. Schaffmaster being front and center right now in the front court is somebody that I think they're going to ride here the next 2 or 3 points because so far Cleveland State has had no answer for her.
Into the second set, and she's got 10 kills to lead all attackers, and she's doing it really efficiently, and even 500 swing rate for her in this one. You talked about it in the open, the versatility and the number of different swings that she has.
She's very difficult to defend, especially when you couple that with good passing from the Tar Heels and more even set distribution across the board. You can't just key on her, and that is when she's at her best, right? And I think the setting decisions have been spot on in when we go to her. We're not forcing things to her. We've got other options and maybe difficult or out-of-system situations, but if we can get her ball with tempo in system, boy, it's just a whole nother world.
And besides just the kills and hit percentage, you see the digs there. So getting involved on the defensive side of things. She's got a service ace. She's been involved in one of the 4 blocks for Carolina. Doing it all now as a senior, maybe Schaffmaster.
Well, we remember fans of Tar Heel volleyball, last year there was some injuries. There were some things where she wasn't 100% through the whole year. Pretty much, people are fresh right now, and this is what you're seeing is a high ceiling of what somebody with the experience that she brings can do in her senior year, and it's exciting.
3 points away from a 2-0 lead in this match for the Tar Heels. And Cleveland State, we talked about this a little bit in the first set. They took a timeout late, and it's not necessarily here's the game plan to come back in this set, but how do we get a couple of points to build some momentum going forward in the match?
Well, and in the here and now, it's how do we handle Bollinger's serve? Because so far, she's the one Tar Heel, she and Schaffmaster both, I guess you could put in that same category, that have pretty much had their way from the service line. And right there, it's about good communication, taking your feet, looking the ball in. Let's get a quality pass. Doesn't have to be perfect, but let's get a quality pass. We can run some offense off of these particular servers so they can't go on runs. So good execution right there to stop that run.
Middle of the floor where they seem to have had some trouble getting all the moisture off the floor. And I think that's the side of the floor where when we were delayed in the first game because of the leak, it was on that side. Rain has thankfully stopped outside, so we don't have to worry about it anymore.
With the amount of rain we had today, humidity is a factor, and I think we're starting to see that a little bit courtside.
Gadumja gets the kill for the Tar Heels. The transfer with her third of the match. She's got a couple of digs and a block as well.
Front row setter for Cleveland State. Let's see what they run offensively.
Overbeck involved in that one. Couldn't quite keep it alive, though, and back to Cleveland State.
Well, I'm interested to see what Cleveland State does in these two-hitter rotations, because so far the slide, running Josepha behind you, has not really been much of a weapon. And so you see Schaffmaster in left front for the Tar Heels, keeping her block inside, being right on the setter. So, you know, unless you can get some middle offense going, I think they need to really split the hitters or split the block and try to get a seam.
Pass a little bit too close to the net for Eisert to handle. Grad transfer from Middle Tennessee State, originally out of Louisville, Kentucky. Back set, a big swing. And it's going to be a kill. Picks up another one. That's Gadumja. And the four transfers.
I'm sure Marshall for Cleveland State wants that serve back. That was a little bit of an easy ball right to Mabry. I know one thought process is let's wear down the other team's best player by giving her a lot of volume, but it needs to be tough because a three pass in that situation is going to be really tough on your defense.
Overpass off the serve, and Carolina will take this. Nope, they're going to give it to Cleveland State. I thought that one fell in on the Viking side of the net.
It's just such a fast arm swing there by Mahasevic. You know, being that lefty setter, she can turn and crank on that ball really quickly. You got to be heads up as a blocker if you're going to stop it.
Second set point for the Tar Heels. Barrett sends it back to Schaffmaster. And she will finesse this one to get the kill. Doesn't always have to be the big swing. Tar Heels take the second set and a 2-0 lead.
Boy, really make sure that things go smooth. So I'm really excited to see what the Tar Heels can do, because so far we're seeing that those little details are bearing fruit.
Vikings on the serve to start things off here in the third set. Alongside Corey Carlin, I'm Kyle Stroud. That one, Vikings want a touch. Chair judge says no touch. Point goes to the Tar Heels.
Coach Voss is already thinking about challenging here.
Torres having a conversation with him. She's the one who had the swing. Schaffmaster and Taylor, if they take a look at it, which they're going to, I'm guessing you're looking for a movement of a finger or change of rotation on the ball.
100%. You know, there has to be definitive evidence in one of these angles to reverse this call. And if you've been around the sport of volleyball, you know that that's not always available. Sometimes, you know, the player's on the court. Boy, I'm not sure. Maybe a micro touch. The players always know because they're on the court. They can see everything. But, you know, from our vantage point, I'm not sure that that's enough to overturn that call.
Well, and with instant replay, I feel like across all sports, doesn't matter what it is, it's the same rule. It has to be indisputable evidence to overturn what the call was live. So in this instance, unless it's obvious, it doesn't get overturned, and I didn't see anything that was obvious, so I've got to imagine that this stays as a Carolina point.
100%, and you're looking at it, you know, these are one of those situations where if you've got those multiple angles, you want to zoom in and give it the best look possible. It is interesting, Kyle, that Coach Voss is doing this on the very first point of set 3.
I thought that to myself too, but in a match where you've been playing from behind, every point matters, I guess, whether it's the first one or the 20th one.
And you wonder if maybe there's a subtle message here of, hey, I trust my team. They're telling me there was a touch, but I also want to make sure that we're still locked in, right? If we come out and we lose the first point or two being down 0-2, are we still going to battle? And that's something that Coach Voss really impressed upon us on the coach's call, was he wants his team to compete every play. No matter who the opponent is, no matter what the situation, we want to get after it. And, you know, this is opening weekend, is that time when you want to start to shape that identity, and whether you win or lose, you get on the bus, you get on the plane, you're going back home, you want to be able to look and say, we're starting to see that identity take shape.
Decision from the ref. They're going to call a touch, so it does get overturned.
And right now, Torres is saying, of course, Coach, you got to listen to me every time.
So we've seen 2 challenges, both from Cleveland State, and they've actually gotten the benefit of it both times.
I wonder, too, Kyle, it bears mentioning, I think something that we haven't brought up yet on the broadcast is Cleveland State is missing 2 middles from action right now, and they desperately need someone else to bring some offense. You know, Torres is kind of handling her side. A little question about whether someone was under the net prematurely.
Yeah, that's a really good point, with both Kohler and Olinger not available. And we've seen them attack in the middle, but not a lot with Appleby, and it's been successful when they have. You wonder how different things could be for them fully healthy.
100%. You know, both Kohler and Olinger have close to 300 hitting percentages. They're both very good blockers. You know, I think they're missing some of that experience in the middle right now.
Vikings still continue to have trouble with that serve from Schaffmaster, but the swing is going to be wide from the freshman Taylor.
Boy, you're already seeing one thing. If you're scouting the Tar Heels, you need to pencil and circle on your scouting sheet. Watch Taylor on the back one. She has been so effective all match running that play. I think she just ran out of court there with the angle.
They'll go to Foster, top of the screen, and through a couple of blockers, she picks up the kill. 6 for Foster, which is second on the team.
Again, we're seeing that balance, Kyle, and if you've got 2, 3, 4 attackers that can get quality swings, if they score, great, but can they keep the pressure on the opponent? Boy, you're really tough to stop in that time.
A service ace for the Tar Heels. There's a category, Carolina, and we've talked about it a couple of times, but Carolina really winning the service battle. They've got 2 aces to 3 errors versus no aces and 5 service errors for Cleveland State. And then getting in and out of system, we've seen a lot as well.
Exactly right. If you're going to have more service errors than aces, the hidden stat we talked about earlier was, are you getting the other team out of system? Is it helping your defense? And if you look at the hitting percentage right now for Carolina, the answer to that has to be no. Cleveland State has to figure out a way to serve with better efficiency. Now, that could be aces, sure, but are you targeting different players or different zones on the court? Maybe you didn't in the first 2 sets, just to have a different look.
They're after Foster, and they're going to get an ace.
And if you see a little chink in the armor, keep attacking it, right? I would be shocked if they didn't go back at Foster here and see if she can make a correction and get the pass.
Hasevich on the serve. Handled better by the Tar Heels. They go to Foster, and she makes up for it with a kill.
Well, what a smart swing from the veteran. You're out of system. You know the block is lined up. They're keyed on you. We watch the footwork here in the press, and she still gets it just on the outside of Hall.
Foster, originally out of Henderson, North Carolina, started her career, though, at Charlotte, transferred to Carolina last season. Top of the screen, Torres answers with a kill of her own. That's 9 for her.
And I love that play call. Has to start with a good pass. Marshall did a great job stepping in, handling that serve. When you've got 3 attackers and you're spreading the pins, that means you're keeping an attacker at the left pin, you're keeping an attacker at the right pin, and you're running something at the middle. You almost are always going to have a seam in that situation, especially with the tempo set. Still going after Foster here.
Overpass and just misplayed. Appleby looked like she was kind of a little caught in between. Didn't know if she should play that one or set it for a teammate and get a swing.
Boy, you feel for Appleby. The eyes got big. You're starting to get a little momentum. You want to capitalize on it. That's definitely a play she wants back.
The next 4 or 5 points, I think, are really, really important because this is the part of the set in both the first 2 sets where North Carolina went from back and forth to taking control of things. And it's happened a lot with Bollinger at the service line, who just picked up an ace.
I was just going to echo that same thought. Bollinger has been lights out behind the service line. Cleveland State has got to have an answer, or maybe shift the pattern, try to bait her to serving a different zone, because so far she's had her way.
Back set, top of the screen, and May came in. She was coming in to help the blockers and just went right over her head. Heads up play there from Hall.
And smart design. At this point in the match, you have some defensive tendencies. You should have someone on the bench who's kind of charting where they go, depending on where the ball's set, and where are the holes, where can we score.
For Hall, that was her 3rd kill. That's 2nd on the team for the Vikings. Schaffmaster picks up her 1st kill of this set, of this 3rd set. She's got a dozen.
Boy, really smart. If you're an experienced outside attacker in those moments, you want to go out who you think is the less experienced blocker. So really smart going off of Jehoshaphat, the freshman.
Set for Hall, an opportunity for the Tar Heels. They go back to Mabry. Tried to finesse that one, and it falls in. It's just so impressive to see back-to-back points. So completely opposite, though.
Well, and why not? When you score on a full swing and you have the defense on their heels, that's a great time when you're in rhythm to just go in off speed.
How important is that? And I'm assuming that that's not something that you decide midair. You're going in with that attack thought, but you've got to come aggressive so that they're not seeing you come in a little bit less and say, oh, we're not getting a full swing.
Sure, and that's a trainable skill. Coaches are always teaching attackers to keep the same attack rhythm, the same tempo. That helps the connection overall with the setter, but it also, adds that element of disguise for when you do go off speed.
Another kill for Schaffmaster, and a great job of Carolina using other attackers. She was one-on-one with a blocker, which, if that's the case, she's going to win almost every time.
And we've seen that time and time again. It's very difficult to defend, and so you're really left with 2 options. You either have to serve tough to get them out of system so you can stack your blocker away, or you commit block to her when they're in system and leave somebody else one-on-none or one-on-one.
Kill for Thorpe on the near side. After going with Schaffmaster for 4 straight points, they change it up, and all of a sudden, Carolina, like the first 2 sets, starting to get a little bit of separation.
Yeah, and this is their strongest rotation in this match when you've got Schaffmaster, Taylor, and Thorpe in the front row.
Nice slide. First time we've seen it go successfully where Josepho able to get the kill.
Cleveland State needs someone else in this moment to provide some offense, and that can come from the front court or the back court. It can come from off-speed, full swings. I personally would want to stay assertive right here and just swing smartly at the court, not assume that off-speed tip is going to fall for a kill. I would tell players in this situation, Kyle, if you're going to tip when we're trying to be aggressive, it better score. But wipe the block, do something assertive. Let the Tar Heels know that you're not going away.
Nice answer here from Cleveland State to get themselves back within 1. Thorpe, though, will extend it back to 2. That is now 6 kills for Thorpe in her first matchup as a Tar Heel.
Avery Jackmaster now serving.
And you think about the types of kills that the Tar Heels have gotten. We've talked about the seams in the block and the balanced offense, but a lot of their kills have come off of tooling the block. I think that's something you can definitely track and point to now. So if you're Cleveland State, a focus has to be the rest of this set and the match, really. Can we be a little cleaner with our blocking technique and our press and our timing?
Unfortunate one there for Cleveland State because Walker looked like she came up with a big-time dig, but a net violation against the Vikings give the Tar Heels the point and the lead back to 3.
Yeah, and that's the 4th or 5th time in the match we've seen a blocking error. Just kind of stop a little momentum that you might try to get back. So some early takeaways for Cleveland State, win or lose, are going to be, can we sharpen up our blocking presence and our blocking technique for the rest of the weekend?
Heads up play there. Mahasevic just takes it on 2 and gets the kill.
When you watch this pass, anytime a pass carries toward the middle of the net, that gives front row setters a ton of option and a ton of room because wing blockers usually don't follow you that far.
Tar Heels go to Foster, dig from the back line. Taylor is there. See the hang time?
What a phenomenal display of athleticism here from the freshman Taylor. She's just cleaning up anything that's sloppy around the net. I mean,
she was up there. She could have had a cup of tea. She was hanging out so long. Sends it into the net for a service error, though. And it goes back to the Vikings.
The adrenaline is full bore right now and pumping for Taylor, and why not? Such an exciting time, your freshman year, to get on the court finally, home opener, have some success. Good for her.
Tied for third on the team with a half a dozen kills.
A little bit of sloppy play right now from both teams.
Free ball for the Vikings. Set in the middle for Appleby. Barrett with the dig, and a little bit of hesitation there at the net because of it from Engelbrecht. It's an easy one for Appleby to pick up the kill on.
Man, she didn't get a great contact on that ball. So probably a little fortunate that the point ended the way that it did. And I was not really impressed with the transition game there. Carolina needs to be careful. They need to keep their foot on the gas. If Cleveland State's going to give you some errors and kind of hand it to you, okay, fine, they'll take it. But this is a long weekend. We've got 2 more matches coming up, Saturday and Sunday, 1 apiece. I'm sure Coach Shaw wants to see his team finish well and in rhythm.
Torres with a swing from the back. Carolina comes near side, left-handed swing from Yadumja. Point for Carolina. That'll send us to the break. Tar Heels with a 3-point lead, looking to finish this one off in 3 sets. Oh. Chuck Voss in his 25th season coaching, head coach for Cleveland State. Mike Shaw in just his 2nd at North Carolina. It's the first time they've met up as coaches in a volleyball matchup. Not the first time, though, Corey, that they've met up in a volleyball matchup.
Well, you go all the way back to the early 90s, and yes, there was college volleyball back in the early 90s. And Ohio State, Penn State, both 2 proud men's programs, a lot of history, a lot of legacy. And those 2, for 1 year anyway, they overlapped and competed as setters against each other. Have to go back and look at the stats to see who might have won those matches, but good old competitive pals nonetheless.
Coach Voss, a Buckeye. Coach Shaw, a Nittany Lion back in those days.
I'd love to get my hands on some of that footage, Kyle, if we could.
They teased it and told that there's some that's out there. We just got to find a way to get our hands on it. And we were just talking with the coaches yesterday, so didn't quite have enough time to track it down, but they meet up again. We're going to have that archived video.
Oh, 100%. And, somebody, when you've got that deep of a relationship, that long of a relationship, and you're both competitive, and you competed against each other as coaches and as players, there's going to be a little bit of bragging rights after the end of this, for sure.
Coach Voss not happy with this last call that went the way of the Tar Heels. He's looking for his challenge card. He's so far 2 for 2 on the challenges. 1 in the first set, 1 here in the third. And this was called.
Or, maybe 2 or 3. Others can have 5, 6, or even 7, I've heard of sometimes. So if you're looking at 5 or 6 different angles, you're giving them each a 15, 20-second look, that's going to take some time. So, yeah, I can appreciate both sides of it.
And I think that's the tough thing where when you're talking about the NCAA, it's not regulated by the NCAA. It's regulated by each conference.
Of course, yep. That is a big factor.
Point going to stay with Carolina.
And you can read the lips there. He did not see definitive evidence. Yep.
Which is not going to make Coach Voss happy. Not what he's going to want to hear, but when the call is what it is on the court, you have to stick with it.
100%.
4.5 minutes, I'm told. That's how long that video review was. Back underway, though. 5-point lead for the Heels. May comes up and picks up her 18th dig of the match. Quick middle. Good defense on the back line. Marshall was there, and it's going to be a point for the Vikings.
Credit Cleveland State for not going away right now. We saw 3 quality swings, 1 out of system by Torres. They just attack smartly, and let's try to get our rhythm. We're trying to build on some things to carry into the rest of the weekend, and we've got maybe 10 or 12 points at least to try to get that momentum built.
And that was some solid defense there from Cleveland State, who, really have been outdug by Carolina, and it's not even close. 32 in the match for the Vikings. Carolina almost at 50.
Wow. Now, when you've got the backcourt digging at that clip, and you've got the front court giving the blocking presence that they have so far, extremely difficult to score.
Foster sends that one long. Back-to-back points for Cleveland State. They stay hanging around.
And right now, that 2-point swing has kind of negated that challenge that went the other way.
Schaffmaster from the back, off on the timing. Opportunity here. And the 2 blockers from Hall. Near side, and did it get over the net? It did. It was off the blockers, and a point for the Tar Heels.
So far, the Tar Heels have been so impressive on tight sets, trap sets. They have either tooled the block or attacked smartly in those dicey situations. And now we've got Bollinger back to serve, so Cleveland State desperately needs a quick side out right here.
Back set for Hall, and that one just kicks the corner.
Boy, and that's a great shot by Hall in that situation. You're a little bit out of system. You're attacking from about 8 feet off the court. If you can go high, deep corners, it's usually going to bear fruit. And that's something that we've seen throughout the match of Cleveland State kind of peppering the court. They've hit a variety of shots. So far, the Tar Heels have defended most of them, so maybe those deep corners are something we'll see them go after a little bit more here. What an up by Walker.
Pass at the net, another rally here. Schaffmaster trying to finesse it. Good defense from Cleveland State. We saw a long rally in the first set be the turning point. Carolina went on to win. Could this one have some of the same effect? And it's going to be Carolina getting the point.
And I was wondering, Kyle, throughout that rally, I thought the Tar Heels got a little bit off speed, kind of tip happy. The longer the rally goes, it has favored Carolina tonight. So why not stay aggressive? You've got a lead. You're up 2 sets to 1. Let's close it with some authority from our swinging.
Service from Maddie May, set near side for List. 2 blockers there. We haven't heard from the Carolina blocking unit in a while, but they picked their first one up in this set. And they give Carolina a 4, making a 5-point lead here in the third and final set.
You see List driving in. She changes her mind at the last second. She just needs a little bit more air under the ball there. You're not going to tip over a block going a foot off the net.
Take a look at the preseason coaches poll. We told you the Tar Heels
league from a reputation standpoint, but SMU and Cal Bear, they're no slouches either. I mean, they've been very successful in their own right.
SMU coming in out of a different league. They were in the American in volleyball while the other two were in the Pac-12. Back to play. Carolina draws it up perfectly out of the timeout.
And I love that play to Udumja because it was a quick tempo ball behind the setter. You know, the defense might be thinking Mabry here, get her that one-on-one. Let's get a little balance to close out set 3.
Carolina has 4 players with at least 6 kills, 3 of them hitting over 300. Led by Schaffmaster at 520. There's a block, though, for Cleveland State.
And they needed that. We talked about it at the beginning of this set. The blocking presence for Cleveland State can be better. They've led their league last year in blocks. You know, we hadn't really seen that tonight. Can they start to establish a little net presence here before this match is over?
That was just a freshman, Chloe List, who got that solo block. But I kind of feel like this is how things have gone tonight for Cleveland State. They get that big block, and then they give it right away with a service error.
There's been a lot of yo-yoing and momentum, and some of that has been of their own, you know, their own effort or lack thereof in spots. And, you know, Cleveland State has battled. I don't want to mislabel this here, but there have been some uncharacteristic errors and just really bad timing of those errors.
And this is not to make an excuse for anybody because every team has to deal with it, but there is not much of a preseason buildup in volleyball. So you're kind of dealing with some of those issues out there in the game. And Cleveland State just maybe having a little bit more than Carolina is tonight.
100%. And, you know, there's some expectations that individual players have coming out tonight. You know, you want to put your best foot forward. You want to play well. You want to click. And, you know, that's all well and good until you have an opponent playing back at you. And then you have to take inventory in the now and in the moment and say, what's clicking now? What can I do? You don't want to get too much in your own head if you're having a lot of errors, and just focus on how you can help your team.
Kill for Yosifo. Her 4th ties her with Hall. That's 2nd on the team for Cleveland State. They've played a much cleaner set here in the 3rd, hitting 276, but Carolina has responded by hitting 419 themselves, though.
It has to be so impressive for Coach Shaw that there have been a few moments that have been a little bit rocky for Carolina, but on the whole, they have played clean, and that's something that he stressed on the coach's call. He wanted to play disciplined volleyball, take quality swings. I think he's got to be pleased with what he's seen so far tonight.
Yeah, Carolina, a team last year that was out-hit by their opponents. They had a 209 hitting percentage, gave up 227. He said, we need to be more efficient. With that kill that gives the match point, they're up over 320 for the set in hitting percentage.
Wow.
I think he'll be okay with that.
I think he'll sleep pretty well tonight.
Schaffmaster back for match point number 1. Set near side, Torres blocked but kept alive. Good scramble from the Vikings. Carolina going to give the set to the near side. Thorpe will get it, and the Tar Heels sweep.
Wow, what an exclamation point to put on the match for the Tar Heels. And so